So it's time for the final award of the bunch. We're going to talk about the All NBA teams this season. The All NBA teams this season have been very decisive due to the fact that they added the 65 game rule. Basically, it's a rule that says that if you have to play 65 games just to be eligible to make an All NBA team. This rule has completely shaken up what it means to be an All NBA player, as it's no longer you have to be the best player in the world and you could play 50 games. Excuse me, I was sneezing. It's also the fact that you have to be the best player for the longer part of the season and you have to play most of the games. I know a lot of people are going to say that I was sneezing again. If you guys hear the video pause, it's normally because I'm sneezing. But the All NBA teams, are no longer about position. They're no longer about, what a player's stats look like. And now they're more based on how good was your team, how good were you, and for how long were you this good. In the All NBA first team, we're gonna have a pretty good lineup of players, and honestly, it is the first All NBA team, right, out of the three, which is the most, decisive. As a lot of people know, or maybe you don't, the All NBA teams are based on three basic components. The first team is a team based on the best players. The second team is based on the ones who come after that. And the third team, the ones who come after that. All of those players are normally all stars. All of those players normally played, well throughout the entire season. And all of those players normally are players which are hailed as stars. You can make an All NBA team being a great player, but being a star really puts you on another level of All NBA. Today, we're going to be looking at eligibility, which players have played enough games to make the All NBA team, which players are snubs, and which players maybe didn't have the year to really put themselves in those conversations. First, I want to talk about the first team All NBA. In this team, I do believe that there are three main pieces, basically four main pieces which are going to make it. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. The reason why these four are going to make it is because this is the MVP race. Yes, Giannis is the fourth, and that's okay, but Giannis has had a ridiculous season. He's played most games. He's averaged 30 points on 60% shooting, and he's been probably the best player in the league when you're just looking at how effective and consistent you are for your team. Luka Doncic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Nikola Jokic are three players which have been phenomenal. That is literally the MVP top three, and those three players just have to make it. And by the way, they did take positions off of the All NBA team, so it does not matter if there's not a center in a certain team, if there's not a this or that. So there are no positions. I just wanted to let that clear. The second team, and by the way, the first team, those are the main four. The fifth player is where you get interesting because then you start changing what are you looking for in a star. In an All NBA first team, we normally try to stick to the formula of having two forwards, two guards, and a center. But this season, we don't have to conform to that. So what we're going to look at for the All NBA team is what are their percentages, what are they averaging, and how good have they been this season. And when you look at all of that, in my opinion, the other All NBA first team player, if you just look at their statistics and what they've done this season, I believe it is a toss-up between Jalen Brunson and Anthony Edwards. Jalen Brunson, I believe, should make the All-NBA first team just because of how good he's played this season. I think he is the best guard coming out of the East. And I do believe that he should make it with a clear, example of greatness, consistency, and putting a team on your back. But Anthony Edwards has the team awards, and that is very important. On the second team, we have Jason Tatum, in my opinion, great forward. The only reason why he doesn't make the first team is because there can be multiple guards, and Tatum's been shooting worse this season. Anthony Edwards or Jalen Brunson. Kawhi Leonard, surprisingly, has had a hell of a year and has been very healthy for the entire season. And then I believe that the two other players should probably be, Kevin Durant and LeBron James. I believe that those players, in terms of their box score, in terms of how good they've been, and in terms of what they've done this season, do deserve to have All NBA nods. You cannot deny that those players at their age doing what they're doing is not impressive, and especially for a guy like Kevin Durant, the percentages that he's been shooting this year are almost a 50-40-90, which is crazy to say when you consider the fact that he's on a team which has had most of their players injured for most of this season. Then, finally, for the third team, here's where you get tricky. It is very easy in the third team just to throw all the names that you know and throw all the names that maybe you have missed in the other categories. But I believe that here you could look at guys like Devin Booker, Donovan Mitchell. You could look at a guy like maybe Steph Curry. I mean, I do believe that Steph Curry should make it, but I also do think that Steph Curry this season is gonna get some points off because of how many stretches he had where he was not that good, if you understand what I'm saying. I believe that in the third team, the guys that we should have are Anthony Davis for sure. He's been great in the defensive end, in the offensive end, and this is not because they're the Lakers, trust me. I'm not a Laker fan, and I don't believe that they should have those guys. I definitely do think that Devin Booker and Donovan Mitchell should make it. Tyrese Halliburton is another very interesting pick. So if I would have to pick a third team, I think what I would do was I would put Steph Curry, Donovan Mitchell and Devin Booker, and then put Anthony Davis. And to round it out, put Tyrese Halliburton as my fifth player in my All-NBA third team. I think that would be ideal. With that being said, I think that these are just the players which are going to make the All-NBA teams. There are a lot of guys on these teams which you could see, but I do think that those guys are the ones who should make it. If you guys didn't keep up with it, this 15 guys who you should make it should be Nikola Jokic, LeBron James, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Luka Doncic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Kawhi Leonard, Donovan Mitchell, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, right, Steph Curry, Jason Tatum, Jalen Brunson, Anthony Davis, Tyrese Halliburton, Anthony Edwards, and I think that that's the 15, which should be regarded as the All-NBA players this season. As for the guys who we left off the list or maybe have not made it, I do want to shout out Tyrese Maxey. He's definitely had an All-NBA year this year with what he's averaged. I do think that his worst part is his efficiency, as he hasn't really been the best player. I believe that Paolo Banchero should get some love, as even though his stats do not stack up with other players, he has been the best player on a very successful Magic team, meanwhile averaging some great numbers. I don't think that they're fully All-NBA numbers, but definitely close. Zion Williamson is an interesting pick. I just think that him and the way that he plays and the way that he's handled himself this season is not the most candid. And also, with that being said, he is a person who this season had a dip in his numbers but played more games. So that was something that affected him because his numbers haven't been nearly as good as they normally are. And some other guys who we can see which weren't able to make the All NBA teams. We have obviously Mikal Bridges. We have Jimmy Butler, but Jimmy Butler because of the games. We have a guy like Jaylen Brown, which made it last season. And then we have some other guys like Dame Lillard. You know, if you want to say that Paul George should have made it, maybe, or De'Aaron Fox and Demonis Sabonis maybe should have gotten a nod. That's also perfectly valid.